1 Corinthians 4:2 says, "Moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found faithful." Hi, I'm Rob West. Faithful stewardship doesn't happen by accident, and the choices we make with money can either create pressure or help us manage those resources with wisdom and faithfulness. Today, we'll look at 6 financial choices that can help us steward well what God has entrusted to us. And then we'll take your phone calls at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance Live. Biblical wisdom for your financial decisions. So what are the 6 financial choices that can help set us up to steward well? Well, the first is choosing to spend with a plan. Proverbs 27:23 says, "Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds." For us, that means knowing what's coming in, what's going out, and whether spending reflects our values. Without a plan, money tends to drift. A budget helps us practice faithfulness with what God has provided. The second is choosing the right car for your budget. We need reliable transportation to get from point A to point B safely. But it's easy to confuse reliable transportation with a vehicle that strains the budget. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average new vehicle transaction price was more than $49,000. And according to Experian, the average monthly payment for a new vehicle reached $770. That's before insurance, fuel, maintenance, repairs, and depreciation. At FaithFi, we generally prefer being free and clear of car debt when possible. That may mean buying used, driving a car longer, or choosing function over status. The point is to get where you need to go safely and wisely. The third is choosing to count the cost before taking on debt. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The borrower is the slave of the lender." That doesn't mean all borrowing is sinful, but borrowing should never be treated casually. If we go into debt, we should ensure the economic benefit outweighs the cost of the debt. The question is not simply, can I afford the payment? The better question is, will this strengthen my financial position or create more pressure later? The fourth is choosing to prepare for the unexpected. Cars break down, medical bills come, jobs change, homes need repairs. Proverbs 21:20 says, "Precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it." Saving is not hoarding when done with humility and wisdom. An emergency fund can help us avoid high-interest debt and make decisions prayerfully rather than desperately. Now, the fifth is choosing housing that leaves margin. Home ownership can be a worthy goal, but owning a home is not the definition of financial faithfulness. Renting is not a waste when it provides affordable shelter and flexibility. The danger comes when we feel pressured to buy just so we can say we finally made it. If the payment is too large, we may become house poor. Owning a home but lacking margin for giving, saving, repairs, utilities, food, transportation, and other necessities. We typically recommend keeping housing costs around 25 to 30% of take-home pay. We also generally recommend a 20% down payment when possible. But the goal is not simply to get into a house. The goal is to maintain affordable shelter and utilities while stewarding the rest of the budget. Recent housing data shows why this matters. A typical family earning the national median income needed about 32% of its income to cover the mortgage payment on a median-priced home. If home ownership is possible within wise limits, that's wonderful. But if renting allows you to maintain margin and faithfulness, don't despise it. All right, the 6th financial choice is choosing to make the most out of a workplace retirement match. Investing may not feel urgent when there are bills to pay today, but if your employer offers a match, failing to contribute enough to receive it may leave part of your compensation unused. This is not about trusting in wealth for security. 1 Timothy 6:17 reminds us not to set our hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God. But trusting God does not mean ignoring wise preparation. If a workplace match is available, it can be a practical opportunity to steward well what has been provided through your employment. So where do we begin? Not with guilt or fear, but with honesty and surrender. Stewardship means being responsible in both the big and small financial decisions because everything we have belongs to God. If you need help setting up a budget, tracking your spending, or creating a plan, check out the FaithFi app to help you. faithfi.com/app is the place to go. We'll be right back.
The opinions offered during this program represent the personal or professional opinions of the participants, given for informational purposes only. Any information provided is not intended to replace advice from a financial, medical, legal, or other professional who understands your specific situation.
Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance Live. I'm Rob West. Well, in just a moment, we're going to begin taking your calls and questions. So now is the time to call. We'd love to hear from you today. The number is 800-525-7000. Again, that number, 800-525-7000. Any financial question, whether you're thinking about living, giving, owing, or growing God's money, that is living. Yeah, your lifestyle. What about your spending plan? How do we rein in spending and balance that budget? Maybe you're on a variable income and you're wondering, how do I budget when it's not predictable? Perhaps it's giving. How do I give wisely? Maybe I've got a required minimum distribution. I've heard about an opportunity to give and satisfy that without adding to my taxable income, which, by the way, allows you to avoid having increases in your Medicare premium. We can talk about that. Maybe for you, it's investing for the future. You're seeing what's going on in the market today. You saw that we closed above 52,000 on the Dow for the first time ever. We've got the best first half of the year in 5 years under our belt. The NASDAQ with the best quarter since 2020 going on right now. What if you've been on the sideline? Do you enter now? And what about gold and silver? Any of those questions and more today, or perhaps it's paying off some debt. A consolidation loan, credit counseling, what's the right path forward for you? Here's the number to call. We'd love to hear from you, 800-525-7000. In the news today, parents have a new savings option to consider. Beginning this Saturday, July the 4th, the federal government will begin offering what's being called a Trump account, a new tax-advantaged investment account for children under 18. Now, it's already generating plenty of questions, and not just from parents of newborns. While opinions on the move run the gamut, the practical question is this: should families consider using them as a part of their long-term savings strategy? There is one carve-out of this for children born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. As long as you're a U.S. citizen born within that time period, you're actually eligible for a one-time $1,000 government contribution to jumpstart the account. Now, if you're outside that birth window, but again, 18 or under, you can still have an account. You just won't receive the government seed money. Now, family members and others can contribute up to $5,000 a year in total, with the money invested in a diversified, low-cost stock index fund, which is, of course, designed for long-term growth. If your child qualifies for the free $1,000, many financial experts say it's worth serious consideration. Receiving that immediate government contribution gives the account a meaningful head start that can benefit from years of compound growth. That said, opening an account doesn't necessarily mean it should become your family's primary savings vehicle. If your goal, for instance, is to save for college, a 529 plan still offers significant tax advantages for qualified education expenses. And if an older child has earned income, a Roth IRA often remains one of the most powerful long-term retirement savings tools available. Bottom line, don't let the excitement or maybe the controversy surrounding a new program distract from wise planning. Every savings vehicle has a purpose. The key is choosing the right tool for the right goal and making planning decisions that fit your family's overall financial plan and values. If you want to check it out or open your account, you can just head to trumpaccounts.gov. That's trumpaccounts.gov. It's actually a really great website. All right, we're going to dive into some questions here in just a moment. That number to call, 800-525-7000. Any financial questions, 800-525-7000. Let's begin in Grand Rapids. Kenya, thanks for calling. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. Hey, I just wanted your wisdom. Sold a house, have $30,000 left from it, have $20,000 and two loans. Need some of that money for the emergency fund. Just wisdom on what to do with it. Do I pay off the two loans, leaving my balance shorter, and cutting down on my emergency fund, or do I continue making payments? Do a money market account, a CD?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you called to ask this question. It's a great question, and it really comes down to the priority use of this money, because everything I'm hearing you saying, whether that's sticking it in a money market, paying down debt, using it to build up your emergency fund, all good things. The question is, which is the right one for you and which most closely aligns with your values? Couple of questions. What are your average expenses on a monthly basis?
Average expenses on a monthly basis, like probably $7,000.
About $7,000 a month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And tell me about that debt, that $20,000. Is it credit card debt?
One is no, not credit card. It's a personal loan. We did work on the house, and then I refinanced my car at one time.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, so these are great. This is really helpful. So you've got, $20,000 in debt, the personal loan in the car. You have nothing in the emergency fund, spending about $7,000 a month. So really the primary objective, I would say, would be to fund that emergency fund. And so we would say, probably at least 1 month would be ideal. That's going to give you a cushion against the unexpected costs. Now, once we get other things paid off, we're going to want to increase that up to 3 months expenses. But I think, in the meantime, if you were to go ahead and wipe out that total debt of $20,000, that could eliminate it and then still give you $3,000 remaining. So you could bring the $7,000 up to $10,000, which would give you 1.5 months expenses, and then you could work toward getting that to 3 to 6 months. If you take what you were paying toward those two loans and now make that an automatic withdrawal for your savings account, I think that would be ideal. So that would probably be my primary suggestion. I think the key is anytime we're paying off debt, though, that's going to take some pressure off. And what I want to make sure you do before you were to think about paying that off, Kenya, is just make sure you've got a spending plan that balances and a system to control the flow of money that works for you moving forward. Because what I wouldn't want is for you to call me back, in 6 months and say, guess what, Rob? I paid off that debt and I put the $10,000 in savings, but guess what? The debt's back because, we borrowed for something else. Unless it was a part of your plan, I just want to make sure you're not spending beyond your means. And especially if you're able to recapture what you are currently sending toward debt service for those two loans, I don't want that just to find its way into additional lifestyle spending. I'd love for you to really set up and automate that transfer equal to those two debt payments into that emergency savings until we get up to 3 months expenses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. I appreciate your call today. Lord bless you, Kenya. It's a beautiful name, and we appreciate you being on the program today. Well, we're going to take a break here, folks. When we come back, more of your questions. So now is the time to call. The team is standing by. We're ready for you. We're going to get to as many calls as we can today. Here's the number, 800-525-7000. Any financial topic, 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance Live on Moody Radio. I'm Rob West, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance Live. I'm Rob West. Each day we talk here on this program about the fact that God owns everything. That's right. Everything belongs to Him. You and I, we belong to Him. And yes, our money, well, it's really God's money, belongs to Him. And He entrusts it to us to our care, and we use it for His glory. We use it according to biblical wisdom. Each day on this program, we want to help you understand what it looks like to hold it loosely and give it generously and invest it in a way that promotes the common good and leads to human flourishing, and use it to bless and love others. And yes, to enjoy along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good gift from a good God who's the author of joy and delight and community and a wonderful meal and all the things that we use money to enjoy. We want to do it, though, aligned with our values as Christ followers, and that's what we want to do each day on this program. Encourage you in that, help you understand that, listen, we've all made mistakes in the past with financial decisions. The key is, how are we faithful moving forward with what passes through our hands each day? So if you have a question today, something you're wrestling with in your financial life, call right now. We'd love to hear from you. 800-525-7000. Again, that's 800-525-7000. Let's dive in. Dan is driving through Minnesota as we speak, and he's got a question. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Dan. I opened up a Merrill Edge account to play with the stock market here a little bit. I opened the account about a year ago with $5,000, and I've grown it to $6,000. But a friend of mine keeps telling me that I should get an advisor and pay them, I think it's 1.25% to invest my money differently to hopefully grow the account faster. Does that sound like a good idea to you? It seems like a lot of money to pay somebody else to do the same thing I'm kind of doing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing pretty well, although I will say the market's doing well, so you can kind of throw a dart these days. It seems like everybody's doing well. Here's what I would say, though, is yes, I mean, there's real value in an advisor, especially when your finances become a bit more complex, where they can help you think about the tax implications of various investments and how you plan for the future and what your ultimate savings goal is and how you offset risk and make sure that you've got the proper insurance coverages and that you are using the most effective tax-efficient investment vehicles to save for the long term, and even ask you questions about your estate plan and how you want to prepare the next steward. And to our program, we talk a lot about the Certified Kingdom Advisor designation because we believe it's important to have an advisor journeying with you that shares your values as a Christ follower and understands the role of money according to biblical wisdom. But as it relates to a now $6,000 investment account, you really don't need an advisor, and really it's not even an option in most cases, because a fee-based or a fee-only advisor who's charging you 1 or 1.5% a year generally has a minimum in what they call assets under management of at least $100,000. Often it's $250,000 or $500,000. So at $6,000, there are options. If you want some help, you could go to soundmindinvesting.org, and the Sound Mind Investing newsletter would give you mutual fund recommendations. You could use a robo-advisor like the Schwab Intelligent Portfolios or Fidelity Go or Betterment, or you could just keep managing it yourself. It seems, to be working for you. I would say when you get closer to retirement and you've got, something closer to 100 or even 250,000, I think there is a real case to be made for an advisor delivering more value than he or she is charging by way of not only the planning services, but just the investments that they would have access to and be able to really give you a more hands-on approach to constructing your portfolio. And, a good advisor should be able to add at least that much in additional real value at the end of the day. But at $6,000, I think your options really are continue doing it yourself or consider one of those robo solutions.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks for your call today, sir. Let's go to Illinois. Mary Ann, go right ahead.
Hi. I purchased a new car, and my car payment is around $700 a month. My credit card debt is around $10,000 a month, and I was considering going into
$10,000 total.
$10,000.
Not a month, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry, $10,000 total.
Okay.
And I was considering going into my investments to get enough to pay off my credit card debts because they went from 16% to almost 30%.
Wow. Yeah.
And
what kind of investment account is that? Is it a retirement account or just what I call a taxable
account? It's a retirement account.
Okay. Is it a 401k or an IRA?
Both.
Okay. And are they both traditional versions pre-tax or either of them Roth?
Some small amount in Roth, but and it's about 50-50.
So you have 50% of your total investments in Roth and 50 in traditional?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the total you have in investments?
$600,000.
Okay. So about $300,000 is in the Roth, whether it's IRA or 401k, doesn't matter. $300,000 in Roth, $300 in traditional?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So, I think the thing here is, first of all, we want to make sure that you have fixed whatever led to the debt in the first place. Now, if it was a one-time event, maybe a medical event, or maybe it was living beyond your means, but you've corrected it, great. If you feel like paying it off and taking the pressure off would result in, you just continuing to spend beyond your means and it might come back, I certainly don't want you to do that. And you could make a case that, it doesn't make sense to pull from investments because now that money is no longer growing on a tax-deferred basis. But I also realize that, on $10,000, you're spending, at 29%, you're spending, $2,900 a year. That's not an insignificant amount of money. Generally, though, I don't encourage withdrawing from retirement just to pay off credit card debt. I'd rather you use that out of current cash flow. Because, once that money's out, it's out and you can't put it back in. But let's do this. I've got to hit this break. When we come back, I want to talk through that a bit more with you and just get a feel for, first of all, where this debt came from and what your best path forward might be. So, Marianne, stay right there. We'll talk a bit more after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance Live. I'm Rob West. We're taking your calls and questions at 800-525-7000. Before the break, we were talking to Marianne in Illinois. She's got a new car. The payment is $700 a month. She's got about $600,000 in retirement assets, half Roth, half traditional. About $10,000 in credit card debt, but it's at 30% interest. Marianne, what was that? Where did that $10,000 come from? And have you added to it in the recent past?
Over the last 18 months, I had to have dental work done to the tune of $15,000 that I hadn't planned for.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So that was a one-time thing. You wouldn't imagine having more of that, as far as you know.
No, and it came like $5,000 at a time. So in my quest to pay off, like, how you can get something where it's like zero if you pay it off within so many months.
Yeah.
That has been what I've tried to do, to the $5,000 at a time. Gotcha.
No, that's great. Well, do you have surplus on a monthly basis that you could go after that $10,000 if you didn't pull it from the retirement accounts?
I might have anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is, if let's say it took 10 months for you to pay it off, if you really kind of buckle down, and then you've got 10,000 left growing on a tax-free basis, for the next 30 years, I mean, that would be a pretty good thing. I would probably, as much as I hate that high interest, if you could do it in 6 to 10 months, I'd say, let's do it. Let's leave the money there and just focus on cutting as much of your discretionary spending as possible, and let's attack that and leave as much as we can in that retirement account, because the value of that money in the Roth, for the next, if the Lord tarries and you're in good health, the next 30 years is pretty significant, just because it's growing and it's growing tax-free, and then you can pull it out without any tax down the road. If it's going to go a year or more, I would say, as long as you have, you're not going to take on any additional debt just through lifestyle spending, then I would say let's go ahead and pull it from the Roth. As long as you're only taking it from original contributions, you can get that money back at any time without penalties or tax. But I just would really hate to see you do that. And so if there's any way to get it done in 10 months or less, I'd say let's do it out of cash flow.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Absolutely, Marianne. God bless you. Thank you for calling today. Let's go down to West Palm Beach. Israel, go ahead.
Hey, Rob, how you doing, bud?
Doing great. Thanks for your call.
So my question was, I quit my job, but they were matching my 401k. and I would max it out every year at 26.5, I think it is now. So now I don't have that, but I have the IRA. But the IRA maxes out at 7,000. So, like, I'm trying to figure out a way to still kind of, like, even if it's the worst case scenario at 30%, it's 14,000 after taxes at, you know, or whatever it is at 26.5 after tax. I'm still, you know, I could still put in, let's say, 19,000. So how does that, like, even out? You know, like because it's only 7,000 that you can put into your IRA, but you can put way more into your 401k. But you're not able to do that if the company doesn't offer it. So how would you do that as an individual?
Yeah, it's a great question. Are you self-employed or are you W-2?
I'm W-2. I work for another company, but they don't offer a 401k yet. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, the individual retirement account, the IRA, has that limit of $7,500 if you're under 50. You can put an additional $1,100 in if you're 50 or older, getting you up to $8,600. But that's the max contribution. The 401k, to your point, has a much higher contribution limit where, you know, you can put in quite a bit more, you know, $24,500, or if you're 50 or older, $32,500. But it's got to be through salary deferral, and your employer has to offer a plan. And if they don't, you're really limited. I mean, there are options for self-employed people. You know, you could do a SEP IRA or a simple IRA, something like that, that's going to allow you to put away more, or even what's called an individual 401k. But you've got to be self-employed to do that. So unfortunately, I think you're just going to have to stick with maxing out the IRA between now and when your employer offers something, and then just save on a taxable basis. If you felt like there wasn't an option for you in the future, you could, look at an insurance product like an annuity or something like that to put more away on a tax-deferred basis. But unfortunately, for W-2 employees that do not have a retirement plan at work, you really have limited options.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for your call, Israel. We appreciate you. 800-525-7000 is the number to call. We'd love to take your questions today. Again, that number with lines open, 800-525-7000. Let's go to Illinois. Tammy, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I've got a question. I'm waiting on getting a settlement from, I had got injured at work, so it's a workman's comp settlement. And while I had been off work, I kind of ran through my 401 and just wondering what is the best investment to have the maximum amount of return once I do get this settlement, which is probably going to be around $100,000 to $125,000.
Yeah.
And I just want to know what's my best investment.
Absolutely. And that's going to come as a lump sum, correct? Not a structured settlement?
Yeah, lump sum.
Okay. And do you have a retirement plan at work, Tammy?
I do. I just only currently do because they unfortunately, after 10 years, did not take me back to work after I had my second surgery. And then after that, I had a third surgery. So I'm just now at a new hospital, which I do now have. Yes, I have a new 401.
Okay, great. Yeah, so what we're going to want to do is try to get that into your 401k, but it's not going to happen right, all at once, because you can't make a contribution. It has to come through salary deferral. But what you can do is say, hey, I want you to max out my salary deferral. Once you're eligible to start putting it in, even if that meant your paycheck came down too low where you needed to draw funds from the 100,000 to 125,000 to cover your bills. Essentially, what you're doing by maxing out your 401k contribution is you're kind of moving it from a taxable bucket to a tax deferred bucket, if that makes sense, because it's sitting in your savings account once you get the check, and we want to get it in the 401k. But the only way we can do that is if, we have them take it out of your paycheck. So what we want to do is max out the salary deferral. And then if you need to pull the amount beyond what you would have normally put in from the 125 until you draw it down, essentially you're just moving it from one place to the other. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And then
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, at what age am I able to do like the maximum? Is there a certain age, or it doesn't matter?
Well, 50 and older, you can put in $32,500. Under 50, $24,500 for 2026. So it's not, you can do that right away. As soon as you qualify to participate in the plan, you can start putting in. And then depending on your age, you can either do 24.5 or 32.5.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, we appreciate your call. A quick break, and back with our final segment. We'll head to Illinois and talk to Renee, and then Michigan and talk to Hank. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance Live. I'm Rob West. We're taking your calls and questions today. 800-525-7000. Here in our final segment, we'll get to as many as we can. Let's go right back to the phones. Illinois, Renee, how can I help?
Hi, I'm called Social Security. My husband passed away in October, and I'm 59. He was getting his full Social Security benefits, and so I'm trying to figure out if I should take the survivor benefits now or later. They gave me some numbers, if I could give them to you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to be 60 in September of this year. So in September, I could receive $12.06 a month until age 67, which is in September of 2033. It would switch over to $14.83 a month, which is my Social Security. Or
so wait, you could get $12.06 until age 63, and then 67. You would get or to age 67, and then you would get $14.83, and that would be your benefit. Is that right?
Yes.
And when?
Yes.
Okay, and when would that be?
September of 2033.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Or the second option is I can wait, not take anything now, and then in October of 2028, I can take $10.44 a month again until I'm age 67. Which again would be in September of 2033, but that amount would be my husband's amount, which was $16.87 a month.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I think I'm following it here. There's obviously a lot of numbers, and there's not necessarily a one size fits all. But if you option one, if you start the survivor benefits at age 60 at $12.06. And then your full retirement age benefit at 67, which you would switch to, is the $14.83 a month, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then option two is you start your own retirement benefit early, which would be the $10.44, and then you'd switch to the full retirement or full survivor benefit of $16.87 in 2028. Is that option two?
In 2033. Exactly.
In 2033. Okay, so option two would be 2033. Got it. Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, option one, if you need income now, I would take the survivor's benefits first. That can make sense because it provides more income today. If you have longevity in your side and you're in good health, option two is going to provide more lifetime income because you'll eventually get the larger monthly benefit of $16.87. Right? So if you have other income and can afford to wait, delaying the higher benefit often pays off over a long retirement because you've got that higher amount for the rest of your life and the cost of living adjustments on top of it. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. Yeah, okay. I work part-time. I make about $12,000 to $14,000 a year. I can't get any more hours. It's in ministry, but I think I'm supposed to stay there.
Yeah.
So
you know, option one is going to pay $162 more per month for the next several years, but option two is going to pay $204 more per month for the rest of your life, beginning in 2033. So that's $16.87 versus $14.83. So I really think it comes down to this trade-off between more income now with option one or a permanently higher monthly benefit later, which is option two. So if you can figure out a way where you don't need that extra $162 a month now and you're in reasonably good health and you expect to live into your 80s based on, your family health history and so forth, I think option 2 is generally a much stronger long-term strategy because that higher lifetime benefit can make up for the lower payments in the early years. Now, if you just need the income today or you have health concerns, then I would say option 1 may be the better benefit.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help.
Absolutely, and thank you for calling. Listen, stay on the line. I'm going to send you a book called Wise Women Managing Money. It was written by a good friend of ours here at Moody Radio. When her husband passed away, she started a ministry for widows, and I think it'll be a blessing and an encouragement to you, Renee. So stay on the line. Our team will get your information and get that right out to you. Let's head to Michigan. Hank, go ahead.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call. My parents set up a generation skipping trust about 20 years ago for my sister and myself to go to the grandchildren. All the kids are of age now to take the distribution from it, but several of the kids are not very good with money as far as just understanding financial awareness. How do we go about distributing the money so they can kind of protect themselves, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any way we can
does the trust say the beneficiaries receive control at age 21?
Yeah. And we understand that the money has to go out, but what advice would you give us as to how, instead of just saying, here's the money, what would you say to the youngest kids here? Put in an annuity, can it go directly to IRA? What's some advice there?
Yeah, got it. You're right. I mean, they're really with an irrevocable trust and the terms requiring distribution at 21, it's really often not possible. I mean, you'd want to check with an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but generally not possible to simply change the distribution after the fact. Depending on state law and the trust language, there may be options. And so, it would be worth talking to an estate attorney. Sometimes there's something called trust decanting where you can transfer assets into a new trust with modified terms. You could get a judicial modification if that was permitted by court. It could be action by a trust protector if one was named. So there are other options, but you'd likely not be able to hold the money back. So I think the next best option, if you have to distribute and there's no legal way to delay or change the terms, would be, number one, just to really pour into them as best you can, encourage them not to make any major financial decisions for 6 to 12 months. I would help them assemble a team of advisors, a trusted CPA, an estate planning attorney, a financial advisor, maybe that third party that they would look to as a professional and heed their counsel. Certainly anything that pays off high interest debt, I would get them to invest it. Encourage them to create a written spending plan. Things like that are often, your best option there. And whatever you can do to just provide financial education and coaching before they receive the assets. The challenge is if wealth grows faster than wisdom, we're in a real danger zone. And so we want to try, and that generally happens when a lump sum comes by way of inheritance. And so we want to just do everything we can to try to keep that wisdom factor growing and outpacing the wealth. And I realize that's hard to do, in a short period of time. So, ultimately it's going to be their decision what they do with the money. You wouldn't be able to direct it into something that's going to lock it up. So I think we need to pray a lot and then just try to intercept them with wise counsel and education and coaching to the extent they'd be willing to take it.
Hey, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Hank. Thanks for your call today. Let's head down to Florida, and Nick, go right ahead.
Coaching to the extent they can. Yes, hello?
Yeah, go ahead and turn down that radio for me and go right ahead.
I did. Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm 65. I have a 17-year-old daughter, my wife and I. I have a roughly $230,000 401k, and I'm going to still be working probably another 4 or 5 years. So, and I'm healthy for that, and would like to stop contributing to the 401k and open a Roth instead of doing a conversion and have the tax burden. Knowing taxes are going nowhere but north is kind of the reason for my question.
Yeah. Do you have a Roth option at work, or are you talking about a Roth IRA?
I do believe I have a Roth option at work.
Okay, because that's going to allow you to put away a lot more money. At 65, you're going to be able to, in the 401k, the Roth 401k, you're going to be able to put away $32,500, 50 or older, which you are, whereas you'd only be able to put in $8,600 in that Roth IRA. And so I would suspect you're going to reach that cap and then, not be able to put any more in, which is why, I think that Roth 401k is an option. So essentially what you could do is say to your employer, I want you to now, instead of putting my salary deferral in the traditional 401k, I just want you to move it over to the Roth and then just fund that for as long as you continue to work. And then when you get into retirement, given where rates may head, and I would agree with you, we're probably on the low end of what we're ever going to see in our lifetimes, you could determine which account to pull from based on the tax code at the time.
Okay, so this is you're calling it a Roth 401k?
Yeah, so employers are able, It's up to each employer and their plan, and not every employer's plan offers the Roth version of the 401k, but the extent to which they give you a choice, the traditional 401k or the Roth 401k, essentially you just want to slide over to the Roth. If they say, no, we don't have that, we only have the traditional, well, then you'd fully max out the Roth IRA for you and the spousal IRA, which would allow you to put in $8,600 times 2, $17,200. And if you have the ability to do more, once you've fully funded it for the year, then go back to the traditional IRA and keep funding that until you get to the next tax year.
Okay. All right. I hear the music.
That makes sense.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know the drill. Thanks, Nick. We appreciate your call today, sir. Call anytime. Well, that's going to do it for us. Hey, folks, it's the last day of June. Why does that matter? Well, it's the end of our fiscal year here at FaithFi. Help us finish strong. If you love the program, consider a gift today at faithfi.com/give before midnight. faithfi.com/give. Big thanks to Jim, Josh, Tahira, and Omar. Faith and Finance Live is a partnership between Moody Radio and FaithFi. Come back and join us tomorrow. We'll see you then.